was a fun Saturday for Texas football. You go back to Texas-Arkansas being an old conference rivalry that from the Southwest Conference. It was a lot of fun for many years and an outstanding win for us because our guys played so hard and played excited and played well that it just ended up being a great day for us. You look at the defense, they played well. There were 7 sacks, 18 hits on the quarterback, 11 quarterback pressures. In fact, we're leading the nation right now with in sacks for 4 sacks per game. That we only gave up 3 explosive plays. We'd like to still cut that down, but we got them out 11 of 13 times on 3rd down, which was huge. We had 2 4th down stops, recovered a fumble that we knocked loose, and also intercepted a pass that Aaron Williams ran back for a touchdown. The most productive players of the game defensively were Brian Arakpo and Sergio Kendall. They're both putting a lot of pressure on the quarterback and playing really well. The ball hawks, which mean they took the ball away in some fashion, they intercepted a pass, they knocked a fumble loose, they recovered a fumble. There were 5 of those this week. Brian Arakpo, Ben Alexander recovered the fumble that Henry Melton knocked loose. A.J. Williams, we've already talked about Aaron's interception for a touchdown, and Curtis Brown. So those guys were all involved in the Ball Hawk Award for the week. And the big hit of the week was Brian Arakpo on the quarterback, on Casey Dick, knocking the ball loose at down near the goal line so we could get easy points. Offensively, one of the great things we're doing is really good ball security. Our first team offense has given up 1 fumble and only the 1 interception after 4 games. Second team, we've got to do a better job, but we're taking care of the football probably better than ever before, and we're scoring in the red zone. We were 6 of 6 in red zone scores, 10 explosive plays, and felt like the guys just stayed out there and continued to move at a quick pace offensively and put Arkansas in the heat because it's hotter here than it is up in Fayetteville, and actually wore them down throughout the game. Really sad news that we lost Luke Tiemann. He was on a kickoff, and it was a non-contact injury, but he is out for the year and will be operated on soon. So we'll have to look at Chris Obanaya or Antoine Cobb coming off of his knee operation now and get him back involved because we did want to run some eye last week. It didn't come up very much, but we've got to look at what we do. Both the offense and the defense played really well the last 5 minutes of the half. Creating a turnover with the defense and scoring with the offense. And they did the same the first 5 minutes of the second half. And that's something that we've emphasized throughout the year because they came out and the offense scored immediately. Defense had a 3 and out, and the offense scored again. You start looking at the Big 12 right now, 3 of the top 5 teams in the country are from the Big 12. It's just phenomenal what we're seeing. 6 in the top 25, and we play 5 of those 6, us being the other one. So we got a lot of fun ahead, and it starts this week with Colorado. It's an exciting time for us to go to Boulder. It'll be a night game. We do feel like the experience that we had out in El Paso will help us at night for a young team. Colorado's got a really good team. I'm sure they're disappointed in their game Saturday, but when a northern team or a western team from a higher altitude goes to Jacksonville, Florida and plays in September, now it's hot. So I would think that was a huge disadvantage for them, like it was for Arkansas. Our coaches that have coached up at Arkansas said they're up on a hill too. So you start coming down off that mountain and come to the heat. It's a great advantage.
You guys are actually getting the sack numbers. How do you feel about that going into conference where you have such good quarterbacks?
Well, we're pleased that they've had enough success with the quarterback sacks that they feel like now that it's a competition between them to see who can get there. And in so many cases, it's just been hard for anybody to get to a quarterback anymore. We've given up very few sacks, and they get discouraged. So they try to get pressures. Our guys right now are trying to get sacks, and therefore they're getting pressures.
Coach, do you worry that you're putting too much? I mean, I'm not.
Yes.
Not that you're putting too much on Colt, but that he's absorbing too much. I mean, he's accounting for about 70% of your team's total offense. I mean, is that weigh on you a little bit that he's such an integral part that you're not getting many other guys stepping up maybe? I don't know.
Well, not at all, because if you look at it, he's touching the ball as a runner about 8 times a game. And that's about what your quarterback's going to do. 4 of those are scrambles. I think we had 2 quarterback sneaks Saturday. which are going to happen. He scrambles 4 or 5 times, then maybe we had 2 options. So we're not asking him to do a lot in the running game. He's doing it on his own because he's so confident and he's moving well. We're still running a lot of different running backs in there, and we're still trying to figure out who needs to be in there at what time. And Fozzie's been out of that mix because of his injury, so we still don't know how soon he'll be back, and he won't be back until he's full speed, obviously. But we really feel like that if you look at what Quan's doing, what Colt's doing, there's a lot of guys involved with this offense right now. He's just the guy that touches the ball every time, and he's playing at as high a level as anybody in the country.
Because you maybe haven't
Ladies first.
needed Fozzie until this point, winning like this. Is there an urgency now heading into Big 12 to, obviously you can't put him in before he's ready, but you'd like to?
Yes, what we've done is we play the guys who are most productive every day in practice and who are healthy. And I see Cody Johnson getting so much better. We thought, even though the numbers didn't look like it, Vondrell played his best game Saturday. But, you're going to play the guys that practice the best, and so far that's what we've done.
Like 80 of 100, are you asking Colt what happened the other 20? I mean,
Well, I think
80%, that's almost mine.
it is. It's funny when you're at 80% and you wonder what happened to the other 20. Very honestly, some of them have been dropped. He's thrown some away because he was smart and making sure that we didn't get a sack or coverage. But he's played as near perfect as you can play, and I'm really proud of him. I think of the top 5 quarterbacks right now in passing efficiency, I think 4 are in the Big 12, which is, again, phenomenal, and that's why our teams are all rated in the top 5 and top 25 in the country from the Big 12.
Coach, last year was the first time in a long time that your guys didn't play a good game the week before OU. How have you been able to that seems like it's not obviously an easy thing for young men to do, is to look ahead to a game of that magnitude. How have you been able to keep them focused in years past?
Well, we've won all of our Big 12 openers except for last year. So we've won 9 out of 10. And last year, very honestly, the team didn't play very well in the early part of the season. You go back and look at the opening ball game was a 21-13 game. Then we go down to Central Florida, and that one's 38-35. We were working on onside kicks more than we were anything else. So I've talked a little bit to this team about last year's team, and it's totally a different team with a different mindset and a different attitude. And they've been fun. They've been competitive. We will coach them this week like they lost the game last weekend. It'll be a different week. People have been very critical of this team coming into the season, under the radar, all these question marks. Those question marks are still all there. So what we will, and the competition picks up. So what they have proven is each week they've dominated the opponent, not just beating them, which is good. But now we start with a higher level of competition, better caliber teams, and it'll be interesting to see where we go. So they can't listen to how good people will talk about them this week any more than they did how poorly people talked in preseason.
Colorado isn't one of those teams that's in that top 5 or the top 25, but they're still a good team. Does that just show how good the Big 12 is getting overall this year? It
is. Colorado is only had the one loss, and they were down 24-0 and upset OU last week on this same weekend in Boulder. So they're doing a good job. They've got good players. They're well coached, and I think it's a good test for us this weekend.
Coach, this is probably nitpicking, but are you?
But
are you at all concerned that
Yes.
you guys haven't been in a close game? I mean, because obviously you're going to get a lot of close ones in the coming weeks. It's been so easy for you guys so far.
Well, that's really a good question, because we always go back to you. Last year we were in all close games, and I don't think it was healthy. So I'd rather have been tested more than this, but good for this team. The 2005 team wasn't tested very much, and they played really well. So what this team seems to be doing is enjoying playing, enjoying each other. They've got outstanding chemistry, and they're having fun during the games. And that's the way Saturday was. The other thing's been impressive about this team is they're playing 60 minutes. Now, the second team offense did not play as well in the late third and fourth quarter Saturday as we wanted them to, but there were a lot of good players on the field, for experienced players for Arkansas, except for the quarterback, and our second and third defense hung in there and kept them out of the end zone. So we're really, really proud. So, but it is a good question, and it's one you concern yourself with. But we told the guys yesterday, things are going to pick up now. and coaches. They're going to be tighter games, and there'll be more pressure, and how you respond to that pressure is how the type season that we'll have.
Coach, obviously the defense is putting up great numbers. Based on what you've seen from Colorado offensively, talk about what maybe concerns you about that matchup when you're on defense.
When you look at Colorado, they've got the Colt McCoy, coach's son, at quarterback. Cody Hawkins is a guy that does what he's supposed to do with the ball. He's averaging over 200 yards a game throwing. He's thrown for 9 touchdowns, and he's a guy that can make plays with his feet, but very competitive. And he'll take Saturday's game that was a tough one against a Florida State defense that's getting back to like the old Florida State defenses where Florida State's had some struggles on offense, but Wake Forest couldn't move it either. So they're back on defense like the ones I used to see instead of the ones I've seen the last couple of years. And they've got a group of really good running backs. We know if Darrell Scott's not getting the ball every time, Stewart must be really good because we know how good Darrell is. And then Josh Smith is one of the better receivers in the country, and he's also done a super job with their return game. So they've got a lot of skill that can beat you, and they're playing really hard on defense. And we have noticed, and we'll pull out the last 2 times we were in Boulder, the altitude did not bother us at all. So we do not think that's an issue, and we'll actually take those 2 games as an example for the kids that going up, getting off a plane and playing is not going to be a problem with the altitude. We're not going for vacation.
Coach, is it hard to keep guys from overlooking the team, especially when we see a lot of upsets happening? Because you would think that these teams are obviously looking over the team.
We went over all the upsets on Sunday for our players in the meeting. And it's phenomenal that you look at Wake Forest beats a Florida State in Tallahassee and loses to Navy. Florida beats Miami at home, beats Tennessee, and loses to Ole Miss. I mean, if you just look at what's happening out there right now, Maryland actually loses to Middle Tennessee State and beats Cal and beats Clemson. So if you can see enough out there right now that you can see what's happening across the country, and you look at what El Paso did Saturday against Central Florida, beating them, I think, 58-9 or 58-13, and then Rice scoring 77 points. We've played some pretty good offensive football teams now. So we thought they were, and they haven't looked that consistent. But when they get hot, like they were against us, they can put up some numbers. But I do think kids right now are having to realize that each week is a new game, period. It's like a new season, and you better throw out last week, you better throw out next week, and you better focus on the one you've got because you're seeing anything can happen in college football anymore. Oregon State, USC, we've talked about. I mean, anything can happen, and I do think that the kids are starting to realize that.
Coach, it's also your first out-of-Texas road game. How does that change the preparation, if any, and how does that prepare?
None. Our guys are excited because that means it's the first cool road game. They've been in that heat. We told them it'd be cooler out in El Paso, and it was hot. They thought we lied to them going out there. So we checked the weather of the site we're going to play out of state every week at game time, and it looks like for our fans and our players it'll be about 70 degrees when it starts and in the 60s during the game. So the big boys are pumped. They think this might be a game where they can get out of this Austin heat.
Do you guys do any silent counts or anything like that to kind of prevent crowd noise?
Because that was loud and good and 50-something thousand, a lot like it'll be Saturday night, and that's one of the things we thought that we might have the Colorado game at night, so we felt like that was good to have a night game on the road with a noisy, rowdy bunch, and El Paso was really rowdy and noisy, and we think that'll help us Saturday night. But our guys like that. Our road record's probably as good or better than our home record, and one of the things they like is the excitement of going into somebody else's place with all the fans against them and getting to play in a loud crowd, and this one's on national TV, so that's fun too.
Coach, you alluded to last season and how you didn't play well at the beginning of the season. What changes in your coaching style between last year not playing so well and coaching really hard to dominating the way you have this year? Does it change at all? Well,
at times last year we played really well. We had a streak of 6 straight wins where we were back in the mix and had a chance at one time to get right in the mix and didn't. We didn't play well at A&M for 3 quarters, and I can't answer that for 2 years. We need to answer it, but we haven't for the 2. And I think sometimes you get so you feel like things are just going to happen without making them happen. And we all went back to work for the Arizona State game, and the way we played in that game is the way that these kids have gone through spring practice and through two-a-days and now. The addition of Ken Rucker going to player personnel type position in high school relations has really helped us, because he's got full time down in the dressing room, around the kids, checking rooms, eating with them. He's around them all the time, along with their other staff. And then the addition of Major and Will has been very well documented. But they're great coaches. They bring a lot of energy. They both bring passion, and it's been fun to have them here, and fun for the kids to be around them.
Coach, you mentioned question marks, the fact that a lot of them are still there, but after non-conference, now looking at it, are there some big questions that you've had answered before you get ready for Colorado?
There are. The defense is better at this stage than we were concerned that they might be, very honestly. The secondary seems to be growing up in front of our eyes each week. They're playing better. Sergio's move to, when you go to a nickel or dime package, to rushing the passer has been a success, because he's really putting pressure. He and Brian Arakpo are putting a lot of pressure on opposing quarterbacks, so our pass rush is much better than we thought. And we're tackling better. There were only 6 missed tackles in that ball game, and we're developing a lot of depth on defense. Nobody played more than 41 plays on defense, which is really good for this weekend. So that's like having a half a game. So it helps you with this stretch we've got coming down the road. Offensively, Colt's just he's been out of sight. We saw him do this as a freshman, and we didn't think much about it because he had a lot of really good players around him last year. We all kind of got, I don't know, and he's come back and answered the bell. Now he's got to continue to do it. Younger receivers are stepping up now. They're starting to be able to play and make a difference. We have a number of running backs to choose from. As we've said, Fozzie hadn't even played. And Cody Johnson's come out of nowhere here to get in the mix some. And the offensive line's playing like we thought they would. John Gold is a more consistent punter than we knew outside of practice. And Hunter Lawrence has stepped up and done a good job in the field goal game. So a lot of those things were question marks that have been answered. Blaine Irby hurts us, but the guys are still working to overcome that. So that's just part of it. Luke Tieman's on all special teams, and as we were looking at some more that hurts us now. But what you do is, as coaches, you just have to change and be flexible enough with your philosophy and your system that if something comes up and it's taken away, you put somebody else in.
Coach, any idea who gave you that first place vote in the coaches poll?
No, probably it wasn't me. I will say that. Probably Colorado. That's what you do the week you play somebody. So I very honestly, I didn't know we had one, but we hadn't deserved that yet. We'll know more about ourselves here the next couple of weeks.
Coach, I know you're not big into rankings, but do you think the players get a little excited when they see that they're number 5 in the country?
I would think so. I still think that we shouldn't start ratings till probably the middle of October, whatever that is, because we spend so much time throwing people out that get upset. And until you play half your season, you don't know how good you are. And it's fun for everybody to throw them out. It's not fun for those old boys that were rated too high. I've been there. You're not very good and you're rated real high and they throw you out. That's bad stuff. Still think they ought to fire the guys who are rating them. If you rate poorly, you get fired.
So do you think anybody knows if they're really the number 1 team in the nation at this point?
No, I think SC definitely deserved it when they were up there, and now Oklahoma definitely deserves it. I think that, and then after that, you start looking. The rest of us are trying to figure out who we are, but Oklahoma's played against some good teams like they deserve to be number 1.
Coach, blood right now amongst staff, or is everything okay with you and Dan?
Recruiting's recruiting. Move on. You take the ones you've got and you coach them. You don't work in a championship game, but you see a guy 2 times the rest of your life. If you don't recruit him, don't get him. And if you do, you see him 365 days of the year for 4 or 5 years. So it's a lot more important with those you get than those you don't get.
Coach, talk a little bit about the emergence of Cody Johnson. It seems like, and maybe with Darrell Scott included, that he was probably the least asked about running back coming into.
I think that's fair. He was 256 pounds back in June, and he's down now to about 245. So he's lost some weight. He's got really good balance. We've played him at both fullback and tailback, which he'll have to continue to do. But we're hoping we can get him down to about 235 pounds and see how quick he is then. But he's really, really worked hard. He's worked hard on his body. He's worked hard on the mental part of the game. and we're excited. He's got good vision, but obviously the power that he brings to us is really impressive.
That's going to do it. We need to go to the conference call.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Coach.